Hi, welcome to my review of the Anycubic Mono 4 Ultra. So firstly, I'm not a professional reviewer, so the printer review that I'm about to give is from my perspective as a user of several different 3D printers. I own a number of different FDM and resin printers, so I'll be giving you my real life opinion of what I think as a user of printers. Now, I did receive this printer for free as part of a prize in a competition that Anycubic won. So I didn't receive a free review copy. I actually got it for free as a prize, but I thought I wanted to just disclose that so that people were aware of that up front. It won't obviously influence my opinion of the printer in any way because that would be detrimental to people who actually pick the printer up. So what I'm planning to cover in this video is we'll start off going through some of the screenshots from the Anycubic site, talking around some of the features on the more professional photo shots that they've taken. And then what I'll be doing is showing you a series of photos and videos of my actual real use of the printer. And then we'll summarize at the end. So firstly, let's talk a little bit about the printer itself. This is the Mono 4 series is basically Anycubic's new entry-level resin printers. So there's the Mono 4 and the Mono 4 Ultra. There's only a small amount of difference between the two, and we don't yet know the pricing for the Mono 4 Ultra. It's due out at the end of October. So if you look at the picture on the screen at the moment, you can see it's a nice, compact, small printer. It's actually very light as well, surprisingly light. So you've got a normal UV blocking cover. It's in a nice sort of smoky grey color, which is better than the older style yellow ones, etc. You've got a nice Z-axis. Because it's a smaller printer, it doesn't need a huge Z-axis. The reliability is there. The resin tank, again, nice simple resin tank. It comes with ACF film pre-installed in it, but obviously you can swap that out to FEP if you choose to. It does have scale lines that cover how much you can fill, etc. The scale lines are interesting actually because the scale lines show different levels of volume rather than just being a single max line. Build plate, it actually goes on really well. Because it's a smaller printer, the build plate does secure really well. I know a lot of people are preferring the sort of snap down rather than the sort of knob at the top to secure build plates, but this one actually goes on really well and secures nicely. We'll talk a little bit about leveling. You can, you do actually have to level it. It doesn't have automatic leveling, but the leveling process is one of the simplest ones that I've seen, and the screws on the build plate are super easy to adjust so that you can get your leveling right. You've got a protective film that goes over the screen. It does come with the printer. The one I got was actually quite a close fit to the printer screen, so I'm not sure if they're planning to make a slightly bigger one in future. The screen is a 7-inch screen. It's a 7-inch mono screen, and it's got a 10K resolution on it. So that's pretty typical of the smaller printers, such as this Mono 4 or from Elegoo, the Mars 5 series. The power supply, this is interesting. So the power on this one, again, it is a power brick style connection. So it's got a cable that runs out to a power brick, and then the power brick goes to your power supply. Unlike the Mono 4, there's no on and off button on the back. The on and off button is on the front. And this conforms to some of the newer style, larger style printers like the Mono 7, where you've actually got these new buttons. I think that's also why the base on the Ultra is slightly higher than the base on the 4. The print volumes and the top parts are all the same dimensions, but the base is actually significantly higher on the Ultra compared to the 4. The light source. I think the light source is one of the big differences between the Ultra 4, the Mono 4 Ultra, and the Mono 4. Although we don't have the exact dimensions of the two printers yet to compare them with each other, but I think that's one of the reasons why the base is slightly larger. The other reason, obviously, being that the TFTP control panel on the Mono 4 Ultra is the more advanced style control compared to the Mono 4 on its own. And just to talk about the control panel, super responsive, really clear, really nice to use. As I mentioned, the power button's on the front. The USB socket is actually towards the rear of the printer, which is interesting because on the Mono 7 Ultra, it's actually still on the side, but towards the front of the printer. But given the printer dimensions, the depth is actually only just over 200 millimeters. It's not a big issue to getting plugging in via that, and it does support Wi-Fi, so you can directly send via the cloud. So that's just a very brief overview of the construction. So let's go on and have a look at unboxing the actual printer itself. So as is standard with 3D printers these days, the packaging is really good. It's specifically designed to fit the printer. It really secures the printer down. What you can't see in this picture is it actually comes with plastic corner protectors around the box, which is really nice. So if it does take a bit of damage in transit, the box, it doesn't tend to affect the printer inside. So when you open the box for the first time, you will see you have the printer securely wrapped into various foam pieces. You have the instruction manual, the leveling paper, and the screen protector is also in that little bag that you see on the top. Here you can see just a screenshot of the actual bag itself. So you can see you've got the paper, the screen protector, and the manual. Anycubic tend to have this nice little smiley face, which they put on top of the foam of the printer. It's a nice touch. And as you can see, the printer is very well protected. So as you take it out, you'll see you've got various pieces that have been separated out. So you've got your VAT that slots into the side slot. You can see there open at the moment. You've got the plate, build plate. The brown box obviously contains things like your power supply, your USB sticks, all your accessory tools, and there you can see that the Z-axis is well protected by the foam. This is just a close-up of the box. I'm not going to go through the exact contents of the box, but everything in there that you would expect with a resin 3D printer. So there is basically a screen cleaner, so that to use before you apply the screen protector. Although I found that the screen was perfectly clean and I didn't need to do that. Screen protector also went on really smoothly. You've got your Allen keys, you've got your USB drive in there, some scrapers, and the power supply for the printer. So this shot actually just shows you the printer out of the box with the screen protector applied. So you can see I've taken it out, everything's off it apart from the screen protector, and then we'll go on and talk about it next. And as I mentioned, the screen protector went on really smoothly. I didn't end up with any significant air bubbles. There's a sort of debate online as to whether air bubbles really make a difference. The screen protector, I think it's pretty much impossible to get a screen protector on without having some air bubbles. Obviously, you can use a microfiber cloth and slowly push the air bubbles towards the edges of the screen protector, and that will take out the bigger ones for you. So, but I wouldn't worry about smaller ones that you end up trapped below the screen protector. Obviously, it's worth maybe picking up some extra screen protectors so that if you do have a leak or damage one, you can quickly replace them. So here's a picture of the actual printer all assembled. You can see there's resin in the vat. The plate is on, the printer's on. You can see how clear that LCD screen is even from here. And then if we go on to talk about the screen itself, you can see there's your first page basically has your normal storage options. So yeah, generally I tend to print from USB, although you can print from the cloud. You can see in the top right hand corner that it's connected to the Wi-Fi, it's connected to the cloud service. You can see my first file that I'm going to be printing is a validation matrix. I generally just do that first, just to make sure I'm getting a good clean print and to tune the resin in. You can see the next tile is your typical dimensional movement. So you can move the printer in the Z-axis by any amount from 0.1 to 50 millimeters. You've then got two other buttons. You've got a home button and a leveling button. Now, most people are used to pressing the home button and then going to leveling. This one works actually a little bit differently. You press the leveling button and it will actually come up on the screen and initiate a leveling process and remind you about it. So put the leveling paper on the printer before you do that. So obviously take the vat off, put the leveling paper on, press that button. It will remind you to unscrew the 4 screws. So you loosen off the 4 screws so that the plate becomes springy. It will then do its leveling function. So it will actually bring the plate all the way down. and then it will ask you to tighten the screws again, and that's it. You don't have to push heavily down on it. You don't have to adjust it up or down by a few millimeters. What I found was just making sure that the plate is stable, so it's not out of line. Don't put too much force on it. Tighten those screws up, and remember, tighten diagonally. So do say front right, and then back left, and then back right, and then front um, left to tighten them up. You'll see also on this screen you've got an exposure test option. So the exposure test is basically a way of showing the fact that your UV screen is fully working, and you should probably do that while the VAT is off before you start printing, just to make sure you've not got any damage to the UV screen. There's 4 different patterns you can use. Now, the clear up one is an interesting one that's appeared on a lot, well, pretty much all new modern resin printers. What it basically does is it exposes the whole bottom plate. So if you've had a failed print and you've got items which are stuck to the FEP, one of the things you'll want to do is to peel that off. Now you can then expose the whole plate using the clearing option, and I just generally go for 50 seconds to get as nice a film as possible, and then you can peel that film off. Now what I recommend you do is either have a piece of scrap um, support material that's quite solid, or one of the resin pull-up tools that you can get, and hold those into the vat in a clean space where the print hasn't failed while you're doing the cleanup process. That way you can use that lever that you've just created with that bit of scrap resin or the tool to peel up the actual cured layer without you having to start putting your hands into the tank or putting scrapers into the tank, which you really don't want to do. And it creates a really nice clean way of removing that cleaned up resin. There's obviously a self-check option for various self-tests. There's the next tab contains various logs, things like your versions, your guides, etc. And then lastly, you've got your settings tab, and then you've got a QR code that you can use to bind the printer to the Anycubic app. I haven't done that yet because the printer wasn't available on the app at the time I was setting it up. But you can see I have bound it to the LAN, and your Wi-Fi settings are in there, etc. So when you're actually printing, you've got a real-time display as well. So this just shows another use out of the actual the screen itself. So you can see here, this was a print I did, and it just shows you the force value versus the area. I'm not sure how useful this really is, but it's nice to have, and it might help you troubleshoot some problems if you get them along the way. So how does the size of the printer compare to its larger, newer printer, the Mono M7? So Mono M7 and M7 Ultra came out just before the Mono 4, and they're obviously um, more on par with the larger scale printers. So you can see that it's got a larger Z-axis volume. It's got a significantly increased plate size. The Ultra versions of the M7 come with heated elements and air filters. We're not sure if the air filter is going to come with the Ultra or not. It didn't come with the prize box, but then that was an early shipped version. So you might find that when you come to order the Ultra, when it appears on the website, it may actually come with the air filter. There is a USB socket available for the air filter just behind the plate on the back left. So let's compare sizes. This is the easiest way, I think. Rather than talking the actual sizes, let's show you some pictures. So these are the 2 build plates here. So you can see at the back, you've got the Mono M7 build plate, and at the front, you have the Mono M4 Ultra build plate. Now, obviously, at this angle, it doesn't look, you can't really see the difference. So what I did was I put the plates next to each other. So what you can see now is the M4 plate is actually resting on the M7 plate, and then there's a ruler in centimeters there just to give you some dimensional context if you want to compare that. So you can see there, actually, it's about half the size, or half the area approximately. So in theory, if you did a lot of small printing, you could maybe get away with 2 M4s rather than 1 M7, but the M7 gives you a lot of various other functionality and speed increases. So what you can see now is two miniatures that I've printed. I've printed one of them on the M4 Ultra and the other one on my Anycubic M7. Now these miniatures are about 30 millimeters high, so you can see the level of detail in the photos that really show that both printers have been able to pick out all of the detail in a nice, crisp, and sharp manner. The resin is the same between the two. The only thing that's different is the color, so I can distinguish between which was printed on which. And the one that was printed on the Mono 4 Ultra is the red clay colored one, and the one that was printed on the M7 is the grey colored one. So as you can see, these have just came out perfectly. Obviously, they came out with some supports. I've cleaned up most of the supports. There's still a couple of little bits left to clean up before I actually paint them. But you can see the quality is really great. So let's summarize what we've looked at and what my views are on the Anycubic Mono 4 Ultra printer. So it's difficult to tell what the exact differences are between the 4 and the 4 Ultra are. But to be honest, I don't expect the price difference to be too much when the 4 Ultra comes out and we can see the exact spec of the 4 Ultra on the website. Obviously, we did get given a spec sheet with these preview copies, the one that I won as a prize. So we don't know the exact differences. I think what you'll find is when Anycubic put it up on the website, they'll have a side-by-side comparison and you'll be able to see exactly what the differences are. I suspect maybe the light array is better, and obviously you've got a larger LCD screen. The power button configuration is a little bit different. So, what do I think? I think this is a great entry level printer, and I suspect that either the M4 or the M4 Ultra are both really good entry level printers that you'll be able to get your sort of first steps into the hobby. The price points for them are really good. In the UK, I think the M4 is about £180, and these are often on available on offers as well. Obviously, we've not seen the price point yet for the M4 Ultra, but I suspect it'll probably be about £50 more than the normal one. Which one would I go for? I would probably go for the Ultra simply because. The screen is just really nice, tactile, and modern, and it really shows up the detail well. And by screen, I mean the LCD screen at the front, the touch panel. The actual internals of the printer are very similar. I suspect the Ultra is probably going to be a little bit faster when it prints, but overall, you're getting a great package here. It's people will argue over whether you should whether the ACF FEP is better than MFEP. I print miniatures and I don't see the difference between the two, so I would stick with whatever comes with the printer. But obviously, you can swap that out if you want. You've got Wi-Fi printing, so you can send from the cloud directly to the printer. The vat size is nice. It's a good 7-inch screen. It's easy to clean. The vats have got a nice funnel on them so that when you're pouring the resin out, you don't get as much spillage as you do with the larger vats. So yeah, I think this is a great entry level printer for new people to the hobby, or for existing people who want to pick up a more modern printer. I don't think you'll go wrong with this printer. So yeah, I'd highly recommend the Anycubic, either the M4 Mono or the M4 Mono Ultra. Either one of them, I think, are great printers. But yeah, I would go with the Ultra if I was going with one. Be interested to see any comments on this video. Thanks very much for watching it.